Hi guys and welcome to my review of HeroAca chapter 242, Have a Merry Christmas, which is obviously very season appropriate. um, this chapter, holy crap, there's so much going on in this chapter, I can't even... There's so much, and we're just gonna start from the beginning, because it felt like this chapter was very much divided into 2 or 3 parts, and we're gonna take it slowly. So we're gonna start off with the teachers' meeting. And they are discussing work studies because it has been requested by the Public Safety Commission that all HeroCorps students will take part in practical field testing, which, work studies. And they have this really interesting talk about this, definitely a response to what happened in Daika, and how the League of Villains was obviously involved in here, but no one's coming out and saying anything because something must be going on, something beneath the surface that they don't want to come out with publicly, which is right, because they have Hawks on the inside who's obviously reporting back, but they can't go out with this because he will be exposed as a double agent and all that stuff. But the seriousness of the conversation is really there, because Aizawa literally says, we're prepping these children for war, and while they are working to become heroes, they are also really, really young, and they are still in training period. And their first years, even as is reminded of us in this chapter, it's not until the second year that you're supposed to be trying to get your provisional licenses, so it's really out of the ordinary that these first years already have it. And they're now also, they have to take part in these work studies, so it's really prepping up for something really, really big to come. But what's really, really interesting about this conversation is that by the very end of this meeting, Nesu tells Aizawa, oh, do you remember the commission's other program or something like that? To which I'm like, what are you talking about? Because then we just go into the next topic. And I really don't know what this could be about, to be honest, because what would that even be? My first assumption was to have heroes work in teams, because we've seen that was a discussion before, that now that the simpler piece is gone and we don't have a single person to be able to take over this role, we should focus on having teams and groups working together to kind of fill their shoes. So that could be a thing, but I don't know how this would work exactly, but that would be interesting if we force people to work in groups. But we go to the next topic, which is the traitor conversation. Oh my god, how long has it been since someone actually brought this up in the story? I think it's been since they moved into the dorms that Nesu last talked about this. It's been a long time. And I found that, at first when I read this, I was like, this seems really weird. And then the more I read this particular scene, I'm getting really interested in seeing how we're gonna handle this whole traitor thing, because All Might is quite convinced that the traitor is not one of the students. And Nesu, for his part, seems to agree with him. He has a little smile and it seems like everything is good. However, as Nesu also points out, they can't know for sure until the League of Villains actually make their move, because until then it's they don't actually know, because they could just be laying low, and the information that we have makes this even more plausible, that they just don't have any substantial clues that can exclude the students from being the traitor, because we know that the traitor answers directly to All for One, who is in prison. We know this from the beginning of the training camp arc, when Shigaraki said that even though he tried so hard, he never got the location of the training camp, but then Sensei got that for him pretty easily, because obviously the traitor answers to him. So it makes a lot of sense that the traitor is very docile right now, because they don't have anyone to answer to. And it also just it puts layers to this traitor thing, because I personally don't believe that the traitor is someone who is actively wanting to be evil or part of the League of Villains. I believe it's either through blackmail, or they don't know any better, or yada yada. I don't think this person is going to be someone who's bad, because that makes All Might both wrong and right in the same sense, because he says all the students have heroic hearts, and that could be true. This student could still be someone who wants to be a hero and strives to be a hero, but have made some bad decisions. Because there's also just the possibility that they don't know who they answer to. But I am 100% gonna make a traitor video relatively soon because I feel like it's closing in on us. But yeah, I still believe firmly that it is a student, just because that's literally the only possibility I see, just because it has to have been someone who was there both at USJ and at the training camp. The only people who overlap at those two events are the students of Class 1A, Aizawa, and to an extent Black King. It can't be Aizawa, obviously, so that leaves the students of 1A, Vlad. I highly doubt it's gonna be him, just because I feel like at this point in the story there's no impact if it's a teacher. It personally, story-wise, I believe it has to be someone that is relatively close to Deku, which again narrows it down to Class 1A. Can't be Bakugo, obviously, that's like the number one person we know it's not. For storytelling, we know it's also not Deku. And then after that, the whole class is just up for grabs. There are a couple more people I could include, but I'm going to talk about that in my trailer video, which I'm going to make eventually. I've written most of it already, so it's just a matter of me filming it and finishing it and all that stuff. But I think it's interesting that we bring it up again, because it's been a while since we talked traitor in the actual series. And I just think the fact that All Might especially is very, like, it can't be a student, makes me think it's a student, because I think he's wrong. All Might isn't always right, and this is going to be a really great way to show that he's not always the best judge of character, and he tends to be a little bit biased, because there's a good, how to say this, the fact that he trusts Deku so much might be clouding his judgment, because, well, he knows that Deku's not it, and he knows that everyone seems to be loyal to Deku, and everyone has like such a good relationship in the class. So, you know, because I personally think it's going to be someone really close to Deku, so. Regardless, we go into the fun bit, which is most of the chapter, which is the Christmas party, which was so wholesome. And before we get into everything that happened, I'm just going to like quickly say my favorite gag is the Baku squad consistently in the background trying to make Bakugo participate, wear the Christmas hat and the Christmas jacket, the Santa hat and the jackety thingy, whatever. And I really love that, like, half the chapter he struggles, like, he tries to leave so badly, and then he just, like, gives up halfway through. And he still tries to leave, even though he's, like, accepted the outfit that he's wearing, but it's really great. I just really love that, because it was really cute. And my favorite detail is that everyone of the class have their like personalized Santa hats. Like, those are really, really cool. Because then obviously it's Momo who's made them, so I think that's a really cute detail. Like, I've been going through the chapter so often, just like trying to find all the details, because the chapter was full of such little things that just made the whole thing really cute. But even when we're going back to this Christmas party, we're still talking about work studies. Which obviously makes sense, because we can't just have a wholesome chapter where nothing happens. Things have to go down. We need to know where everyone stands. So we basically learn where everyone is, the people who've already had their work studies and the people we already know about. So HeroAca and Suyu are staying with Ryuku. I'm assuming Kirishima is still with Fat Gum. Why would he leave? And we learn that Deku is no longer with the United Agency because, you know, after his death, the Centipeder who was taken over and Bubble Girl and all those people, they are really, really busy, and they just don't have time to take on an intern or, you know, a student. So Deku is in a limbo, and he doesn't really know where to go, but because again, as we know now, the work studies are mandatory, he assumes he'll find a place, but we gotta get to that. And then, oh my god, this part of the chapter I couldn't. Bakugo and Best Jeanist. Oh no. Obviously Bakugo can't go to Best Jeanist because he is missing. Possibly dead, but they don't know that. For now, he's just missing. And I really, 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 really enjoyed this part of the chapter. Because we get to see more of Bakugo's internship with Best Jeanist, because when we saw it the first time, we had the comment where Bakugo was like, oh, I learned nothing from this. But the more we see the internship unfold, the more we see that Best Jeanist not only started to care about Bakugo, but Bakugo also started to respect Best Jeanist a lot, which he probably did just from the beginning. I highly doubt he would have gone to Best Jeanist just because he is a top hero. Bakugo would definitely have chosen someone he respects from the get-go, and Best Jeanist is the kind of hero that Bakugo would admire because he's so versatile with his quirk, something that Bakugo also tries to implement with the use of his quirk. So it having all these little tidbits of information of their week together, it breaks my heart because Bakugo can't go back there, even though Best Jeanist invited him back. Like, he literally said, like, as soon as you get your license in your second year, come back to me. Obviously, Bakugo got it earlier than that because the whole class did it in their first year. But he was invited back to Best Jeanist, and the fact that he can't go back now, even though that's literally the perfect place for him to be, especially now that he's so open to changing himself and bettering himself, it's so sad that he can't go back there, because Best Jeanist would have been so great for him. The other thing to discuss is obviously Bakugo's hero name, because at the time that he came to Best Jeanist, he did not have a hero name. And I hate that there's the promise now that Bakugo would tell him his hero name when he came back to him, because, again, we don't know whether or not he's alive. So that was just like a sad moment. But I really thought we were gonna learn Bakugo's hero name this chapter. With previous chapter 2, I keep thinking this is the chapter where we're gonna get it, because Bakugo has obviously already chosen it. He would have chosen it because he got his license, where you have to put down your hero name. Now I'm not gonna tell you what I think it is, if I haven't mentioned it before, because I'm gonna make a video within the next 2 days about what I think this is gonna be. Regardless of what it is, though, it's going to be a really, really big moment where we finally see this, because Bakugo is one of our main characters, and the fact that we don't have a hero name for him or for Todoroki, it's a big thing, because they've been through so much, and they've gone through so much character development, and their core values have somewhat shifted, especially for Todoroki. So it's really interesting to see what hero names they come up with. I'm more so interested in Todoroki's because I have a really strong feeling of what Bakugo's is going to be. But Todoroki is like, it could be anything, literally anything. My most, what can I say? What I am expecting from his hero name is that it is somehow both a compliment to his fire and his ice, so that he is certain to have chosen a name where he has recognized both of his quirks as being a part of him. Because I would have assumed that pre-sports festival, he would have chosen a hero name that would only have reflected his ice powers. It's kind of like his costume, where the very first version of his costume literally covered his fire side with the ice. But now I think it should be reflective of everything that he's gone through, the fact that he's accepted himself, accepted his power as something apart from Endeavor, something that's not his, but, you know, it's Todoroki, it's Todoroki Shoto's power. Yeah. Regardless, the Best Jeanist stuff was really... But the whole thing too, because it was so clear about who wanted to go back to him, I can't... It was a lot for me. I should mention that reading this chapter was difficult. I had multiple times where I had to put down my phone and just be like, okay, I need a moment before I can even turn the page, because I was so overwhelmed with emotions. It's like, it was such a roller coaster of like serious moments, and then the fluffy, funny content, and then more serious moments with Best Jeanist, and then we're back to the next part, which is Eri coming in looking cute as shit. Like, oh my god. The Eri part really, I don't want to say it saved the chapter, but it made the chapter less sad. Because there was like this undertone of just sad things, because it's like, oh, Deku doesn't have an intern. Oh, why is that? Because the person he was interning under died. And we have the traitor thing, and we have the preparing kids for war thing, and Best Jeanist, and it's also sad. And you have Eri coming and being the cutest being ever, confusing holidays, and just, it's so cute. But we still have that little tidbit of, is this a good or a bad thing? Because her horn is growing again, and as we know now, the size of the horn kind of, it's where she stores her power, basically. And as we know from Monoma, her power is a stockpiling power, so it's probably safe to say that when her horn grows, that's because she stockpiled more time that she can reverse, or whatever it is that she stockpiles. But yeah, that was a little detail about that. Regardless, cute shenanigans, because I want to point out, like, cute little things. First of all, I just really love that the whole class, plus Aizawa and Eri, they're all socializing and having fun and having a good time, and it's really nice. Like, even Bakugo kind of gives up at this point in the chapter and just, like, stays, is being fed chicken or whatever other poultry it is that they're eating. It's just really, really nice. One of my favorite parts was the gift exchange, because it allowed you to play the game of who got what from who. So, and this is my notes for, tell me if you think I'm wrong about any of these, because I really want people's opinions about who got these gifts, or who these gifts were from. But obviously Ida got gold from Momo. I don't think anyone but Momo would give people gold. Obviously Mineta got Aoyama's gift, which was a picture of Aoyama. That's just such an Aoyama thing to do, and I said his name so many times right there. Ashido got weights, which I would assume is from Kirishima because his whole room is filled with training gear and stuff like that. Zero got like a frog thing for Sue. I can't tell if it's just like a frog ornament or if it's like a mirror or whatever, but it's a frog, meaning it has to be from Suyu. Jiro got a blanket, and I would assume this is from Zero because it fits the theme of his room. It has the same kind of pattern that he has his whole room decorated in, so I would assume that's from him. Kaminari got a basketball from... I don't know. I don't know who this would be from. I think I might have just forgotten someone who really likes basketball. My best guess would have been Shoji or someone, but it could be anyone. Who else? Deku got Mochi from HeroAca, and HeroAca got All Might from Deku. It's quite obvious that even if you don't know who the Mochi is from, the way the panels are shown, it's very clear that they got each other's gift, which is just a little hinty nod to maybe their ship or whatever. I think personally it's maybe something else, but it could still also be a hindi nod. Hindi nod. And then obviously the best gift is that Eri got the sword from Tokoyami. It's so big, and the fact that she's holding it up is pretty impressive, but it's such a funny gift, and I loved Ojiro's little like reaction to it, because he first like he seems a little like shocked at Tokoyami's gift, and then he sees that Eri got it, and it's just beautiful, 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 beautiful. Regardless, that was the little cute thing that I wasn't supposed to discuss that I did anyway. The big story implications we have for this, though, is Todoroki inviting Bakugo and Deku to intern under Endeavor. I talked a bit about this in the last chapter, how it's obvious that at least two of these people are gonna be interning with each other because of how the previous chapter ended, and having all three of them go to Endeavor is, yes, this is something I really, really want for so many reasons. First of all, it's just really good to have Bakugo and Deku under Endeavor, because they too, like Todoroki, should be learning from the current number one hero. That's just baseline. That's great that those two are together and working under Endeavor. Great, good. Then there are like the more awkward kind of side effects of this. I would assume that at some point during this internship, Bakugo has to reveal that he knows Todoroki's backstory, because he knows it, but no one else knows that he knows it because he overheard this in a conversation. And I find it, like, because it's gonna be really difficult. I'm gonna call them Todoroki and Endeavor, so you know who I'm talking about here, obviously. But I just feel like at some point the relationship between Todoroki and his dad is gonna have to come up, and because Todoroki told Deku, so obviously they know that each other know. Obviously everyone, why wouldn't Todoroki know about himself? But they don't know Bakugo is in on this. And it's the same thing with like Bakugo and Deku knowing about One for All, and then Todoroki kind of being out of it, although it's not quite the same because Todo doesn't know secretly. But he could find out. That a lot of people want Todoroki to find out. I personally don't. I think it's funnier for him to not know. But if we're getting to the point where eventually a lot of people will find out, Todoroki seems like the obvious next person regardless. I don't know. I've seen some people talk about maybe Endeavor's also gonna learn about this, but I highly doubt it because I don't see the function of him knowing about this. You know what I mean? But yeah, this would be it. Like this, I feel like if Todoroki doesn't learn in this arc, he's either not gonna learn or he's gonna learn with a bunch of other people. So we'll see how that goes. But I also, obviously, I said this before, we're gonna 100% get Todoroki and Bakugo's hero names here, because they are gonna have to work under their hero names. That's how things work. And another little fun tidbit is that you have Bakugo, Deku, and Todoroki all working under Endeavor now, but their favorite heroes is All Might, all three of them. I think that's really funny to think about, because no matter what, Endeavor's gonna be second, even though he's probably not second to any of them. They probably like other heroes more than they like him. Just because they all know how he treated Todoroki, there's no way they're gonna like him. But yeah, there are so many things that could happen with this thing. Another thing that it gives way for is obviously Bakugo and Deku is finally having an arc together again after so long, and they're gonna have to work together. And I've been looking forward to this for a really long time, because the last time they worked together was back in the end term exam. The end term exam, which we skipped this time, because obviously the Christmas would be after that. The Christmas? Christmas would be after that. So I was wrong when I discussed it last chapter that maybe we could be going into a new exam arc. But yeah, the last time Bakugo and Deku worked together was the end term exam. And obviously that was a bit mixed whether or not they really worked together, but they at the very least saw eye to eye and like had a similar goal in mind by the end of it at the very least. But now that they're on better terms, they understand each other, they've been through a lot of other things, both just separately. I am really looking forward to seeing them work together, because it might not be like a proper team up, because they could be working independently, but still as part of the same group, and they will have to communicate, they will have to like they are gonna have to work together in some capacity, and I'm really excited for that, to just see how they're gonna work with this, because this is obviously just a big plot point in the story, is to have them repair their relationship and eventually be able to do hero work together. And I'm really interested in seeing how Todoroki is gonna fit into this, because Todoroki, kind of a lot like Bakugo, he started off very lone wolfish, wanting to do a lot of things by himself, not really relying on other people, and he's been better at that, but he doesn't have team attacks. Not that a lot of people have team attacks, but we've seen them, and I'm really interested in seeing, because all three of them seem to be at a different point when it comes to team working, and having all three of them together, all three of them who are incredibly strong. Obviously all three of them could fill the role of a leader, Bakugo and Deku more so than Todoroki, I would say. It's just going to be an interesting dynamic, because they're already an interesting dynamic just from a socialistic standpoint, like them as friends, because Bakugo is not really accepting Todoroki as a friend, but when it comes to hero work and just working together to save people, to win against villains and all that stuff, it's going to be a different dynamic, because I'm trying to remember, I think actually all three of them have worked together before, because obviously Bakugo and Todoroki worked together when they got their licenses, Todoroki and Deku has worked together against Sane, and then obviously, as I said, Bakugo and Deku against All Might. But we haven't had all three of them. Deku especially is better at working with bigger groups. He has more experience with that than both Bakugo and Todoroki have, I believe. So, yeah. But then again, Bakugo and Todoroki have gotten really close over the course of their remedial courses, so it might be Deku who's gonna feel a little bit left out, because he's been doing other things with other people. It's just really interesting where this is going. And I'm really interested in seeing how Endeavor's gonna take Bakugo and Deku on, because there's a difference between him training his own son, who has a similar power to him, and training two other people, especially Deku, who has a power that is literally All Might's, plus some other things now. But it's just different kind of power than from Endeavor, who I assume has not taken interns, either not at all or just not as often. And then there's someone like Bakugo, who has a power that is quite similar to Endeavor's, but he obviously does not look up to him. And I do believe that Endeavor is going to have to work to gain both Deku and Bakugo's respect as a hero and a person. A person's probably going to be a bit difficult, but maybe as a hero. It'd be interesting to see if Endeavor's also going to comment on the Camino incident, because obviously he hasn't seen or interacted with Bakugo at all, but he was there at Camino, and obviously the goal of Camino was to save Bakugo, so it's going to be interesting if that's going to come up. I think it might, just because of what I believe Bakugo's hero name is going to be. But we're going to see about that. Regardless. I've said regardless a lot of times now, but there's so many implications with this one chapter. I'm going through my notes to see if I missed something. I don't think I did. I'm not gonna say regardless again. I just said that. Anyway, my favorite parts of the chapter were Eri and the Best Jeanist flashback. I just really loved seeing Best Jeanist and Bakugo like getting closer. I don't know how to phrase it. It's just the more we see of their Insta, the more we understood what actually went down, and that it wasn't that Bakugo learned nothing, it's that he didn't get to fight someone really strong, and he didn't get to do the things that he wanted at that time, but in the long term, he learned a lot from Bastionis to the point where he really wanted to go back to him. Because even, like, he does say, like, there's no one else who can teach me stuff, which is obviously wrong. You can learn from everybody, and I think Bakugo does believe that. I just think he's salty that he can't go back to the place he really wanted to go back to, and that he was invited to go back to. Because I would have loved to see him go back. Their dynamic was really, really interesting and good, and just Bastionis just really is the best fit for Bakugo in terms of what he wants and has to learn. So I am gonna stop talking now because it's been almost half an hour. I'm really excited for this arc we're going into. I'm really excited to see Bakugo and Deku in the same arc again, actually interacting, because even if they've been in the same arcs for the last two, like joint training and school festival, they didn't interact a lot because they were on different teams. And I miss their interactions. They're really, really good. So yeah, you can leave a like if you like anything that I had to say. Leave in the comments below what you thought of the chapter, about the gifts. What were your favorite parts? Do you like the gags? Like, just everything that happened, because there was so much. And yeah, you can subscribe if you want to see more. Until next time, bye.